Okay, so let's have a quick recap what we have discussed in the last session. In the last session, we have just given introduction about Azure. In today's session, we are going to learn about how to create an Azure account. But before starting off this particular topic, any question anyone have? Please quickly raise your hand. Look like no one has any question. So we can start with the today's topic where we are going to learn about how to create our Azure account. Now, to create your Azure account, you can use any of your personal email ID. Don't use your official email IDs. Always use your personal email ID to create your Azure account. So to create your Azure account, here is the link where you need to go to that. So once you go to this particular link, you need to click on Start Free. So once you click on Start Free, here you will get an option to sign in, but you guys don't have an account. You have to create an account. So to create an account, you need to click on create one. Once you click on create one, here you need to enter your personal email ID. It can be Gmail, it can be Yahoo, any of the email you can use here. And once you enter the email ID, you need to click on next. Then you need to enter the password. Password can be any of minimum of 8 digits. 8-digit, any of the password you can enter here. And when you enter the password, you need to have some numbers or characters you need to use. So once you enter password, you need to click on next. Once you click on next, you will get an OTP from Azure side to verify your email address. So here you need to enter your email address to verify your email ID. So whatever the OTP you are getting is enter here and then click on next. Now, so once you click on next, here you need to enter your details. Your first name. If you have a middle name, you can enter middle name. Your last name. Email address system will automatically pick from the previous step. And then scroll down. You also need to enter your phone number because in this step, they are going to verify your phone number. And to verify your phone number, we have two options. One is text me, other one is call me. So you can verify your mobile number by using text message also, or you can verify by using call also. So on call or text, you'll get an OTP. That particular OTP you need to enter there. Now, so once you verify your mobile number, you need to enter your address. Now, this is important. Your address needs to be exact same as your bank account. Because to create your account, you have to give your card details. So the address, whichever you're going to enter here, it exact same as which is mentioned in your bank account. It's not like that which you are writing it. Exact same. I'll give you example also. Let's take example. We were writing it like this, flat number 4. But in our bank account, it is mentioned as flat 4. For us, this one is correct. But as per Azure, this one is correct. So the best practice to enter your address is copy paste the address from your bank, log into your bank and copy and paste here. So address line 1, address line 2, address line 3. So if they have entered address in 3 lines, use those things. City, state, postal code. Postal code means PIN code you need to enter here. Once you enter those details, if you scroll down, you need to check those checkbox, or if you want to read those terms and conditions, you can read also. And then click on next. Now, once you click on next, you have to enter your card details. Your name, number, expiry date, and CVV. One important point, Azure is not supporting the RuPay card. So if anyone from India, they have a RuPay card, it is not support. Azure is not supporting till now. RuPay card. You can enter any of your debit or credit card here. You can enter, and if you are from India, make sure that international transactions are enabled, because by default, international transactions are disabled. So you have to enable those international transactions. You can enable by using your mobile banking, also by using internet banking, or just check with your bank how to enable it. You can enable it. So by default, international transactions are not enabled, and you don't need to enable for thousands of rupees, just for 10, 15 rupees. You can enable. So once you enter card details, they'll deduct a 2 rupees from your account to verify your card details. And the 2 rupees also will get a refund in 2 to 3 days from their side. So it means to create your Azure account, you are just paying 0. You are paying 2 rupees, but the 2 rupees also you will get a refund in 3 to 5 days. They are saying 3 to 5 days, but usually you will get a refund on same day. And you have to give your card details. You can't use any other things. It's mandatory to give the card details. And without card details, you are not going to create your account. And once you are done with these things, you log in it. This is how your account look like. And you can click on subscription. Once you click on subscription, you will get one subscription for their side. And that particular subscription is called as free trial subscription. And this free trial subscription you will get for 30 days. This is what we have discussed in previous session. For first 30 days, you will get a credit of 200 US dollars or 15,800 rupees credit you will get. So till that time you are using anything, they will not charge you. After that, you have to use the free services. If you are using the free services, they will not charge you for those things. And one more important point. Subscription name can be any name. It doesn't make any difference with subscription name. The more important where you want to check is, let me show you that. Let me log into my Azure account. A minute, let me enter the OTP. Yeah, I'm able to enter the OTP. Now go to a subscription. Click on a subscription. Here, offer needs to show us as pay as you go. This needs to be shown as free tier to you. It for me it's showing as pay as you go, but for you guys it needs to show as free tier for first 30 days. And once first 30 days get completed, they automatically change your subscription from free tier to pay as you go? No. They will not do by themselves. You have to upgrade your subscription. And how to upgrade your subscription? That particular video I have given here. So after 30 days, you need to watch this video and you have to upgrade your subscription. So once you upgrade your subscription, it will change to pay as you go for next 12 months. If you are using the free services, they will not charge you for the free services. And we have an option in our Azure account. We can check how much of free quota you have used for that per month quota, whichever you are getting. We'll see in our upcoming session. So this is how you can create your Azure account. Now, any question anyone have regarding this, please let me know. Yes, Ayush.
Hello,
Yes, Ayush.
I'm audible. Yes. So I have a RuPay card. So can I use my father's card? Something
Yes,
like that.
you have to take your father permission for those things, Ayush, not my permission.
So I
You
want to ask you, can I use that for payment purposes?
you can use any of the card. You just need
Okay.
your father permission. If your father is giving you the permission, you
No, no,
can
no.
use
I'm
it.
just saying like I can use it's not mandatory for like I have my address on it. So that's the thing.
The address needs to exact same as your bank account.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Anyone have any more question? Yes, sure.
There is a only single option for card, right? Any other option for payment?
There is only, I have already informed that you have to give your card details. There's only one single option, and you can give one card details while creating your account.
Okay.
You have to give your card, it's mandatory. You're thinking to do is net banking or
Yes,
UPI?
yes,
Not possible.
yes, yes.
No. While creating your account, you have to give the card details.
Okay.
And even for making the payment also, you have to give the card details. Okay?
Okay.
Yes, Samir. Samir Mullah, you have raised your hand to ask a question. You need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, can you repeat once?
What do you want me to repeat?
Yeah, for the payment details, because actually I actually a late login now.
For which payment details? For this payment details, which are able to see on my screen.
Yeah, this one.
To create your
Yes.
Azure account, you have to give your card name, whatever the name is mentioned in your card number, expiry date, and CVV. And it does not support RuPay card. You have to give your Visa card or MasterCard you need to give.
Okay.
And by default, these cards are, by default, your Indian cards are not supporting the international transactions. So you have to enable the international transactions for these things. And for those things, you have to check with your bank how to enable the international transactions. And you don't need to do it for 100 rupees, just to do it for 10 rupees, because to create your account, they deduct only 2 rupees. And the 2 rupees also you will get a refund same day, or 3 to 5 days you will get refund. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ankit.
Okay. Now let's move forward. Now in Azure, we have something called marketplace. Now, what is marketplace we have in Azure? That marketplace we can call it as online store we have in Azure, where we can see all our Azure services, or whatever the tie-up they have done in with Azure with third-party companies. Those also we can see in the marketplace. So here I can go with left side. Here I'm getting also the details. There is the services, the favorite services, whichever we are getting it, we can see here also. I can click on all resources. There I can see all the resources, whichever we have created, we can see here. Or to go to marketplace, here we can search. Here I'm getting marketplace. Or if you don't want to go to marketplace, you can directly search that particular service also here. Like I want to go to virtual machine. So I can just type VAR. It's showing me on the top that particular service also, which is coming under virtual machine, then virtual network. So on the top also we can search here, or we can go to marketplace. In marketplace, we can see everything here. And if you want to see by category wise, here we have. So categories wise, it's showing you the Azure services also, and it is showing you the third-party company services also here. If you just want to see Azure services, we can check the checkbox to see that particular service. I'm requesting you to please check your keyboard. You are typing something irrelevant in the chat box. I have to stop the chat box otherwise. So please be careful. You're sending a lot of messages, some irrelevant messages. So please be careful. So here we can check the checkbox Azure services only. Now it is only showing us the Azure related to compute. Whatever the Azure services they have, there it is showing us. If you go to database, it is only showing us the database services, whichever we have, and only the Azure one, it is only showing those services. If you want to see the third-party company service, they have the tie-up, uncheck the checkbox, it's showing us all. Total, how many databases we have? 1338. But if I just check the checkbox, in databases, we have only 31. So 31 services, 31 type of databases we have in Azure. So here we have the marketplace where we can see all the Azure services, whichever we have from their side. But it's not mandatory to go to Azure service. You can directly search whichever the service you want to see, you can see that. And on the top, it is showing me the recently visited services. Recently, I go to marketplace, and recently I go to all resources. Here it is showing us. Before that, I go to subscription, resource group, virtual machine, enter ID, storage account, SSH key. We are able to see here those things also. So marketplace is a place where we can see all our Azure services. Then we have something called subscription. Is subscription is mandatory? Yes. Subscription is mandatory in Azure to create our resources. Without subscription, it is impossible to create our resources. Because whenever I'm trying to create anything, like I just click on virtual machine, click on create virtual machine. What is the first thing we have to select is the subscription. So you can see here on the top, the first option is subscription, and they have already selected our subscription. So without subscription, it is impossible to create these resources, the virtual machine, storage account. So whatever the resources we have, we can't create. Now, whenever we create our Azure account, we'll get something called tenant ID also. So where we can see the tenant ID? If I go to a service called enter ID, there I'm getting the tenant ID. This is my tenant. What is the use of this tenant? That we are going to discuss in upcoming session once you reach a service called enter ID. Earlier, this service was called as Microsoft Azure Directory, but now it has been renamed as Microsoft Entra ID. So once we reach the service, then we are going to discuss something more about tenant ID. What is the use of this tenant? Tenant is also called as primary domain. This is the structure. Right now, we are going to discuss about this particular structure. On the top, we have our Entra ID service, where we are going to create users, where we are going to create groups. So that is always on the top. After that, we are getting it is our subscription. And then after subscription, we are getting it is the resource group. What is a resource group? We'll discuss definitely. And then under our resource group, we can create our resources. Resources means virtual machine, databases, virtual network. Those things we can create here. So right now we are not going to discuss about this complete diagram. Just for starting off our training, we are going to discuss about this particular part. And once we come to our Enter ID service, then we are going to discuss about the upper part. So what we are going to discuss now, we are going to discuss about this resource group and about this particular service called virtual machine. So first we learn about how to create a resource group. And once we learn about resource group, then we start learning about how to create a virtual machine. So we'll start our first service called virtual machine. Now, anyone in the chat box, please let me know what is virtual machine. A short form, you can say, tell me what is virtual machine. Short form is VM, full form is virtual machine. But what is virtual machine? Anyone? In the chat box, you can confirm. No need to raise your hand, guys, for these small questions. Correct. So whatever the answers I got, those are correct. Now, Virtual machine, if I talk about in a journal language, like those people are not much aware of this particular terminology called virtual machine. Now I'll explain you very simple way. Like I have this particular computer. I have this particular computer which I'm using right now to give you the training, and it's a Windows 10 operating system. I want to create one more computer, or I can call it the actual word I need to use it is a server. I want to create one more server in Azure infrastructure. I'm using one laptop. I want to create one more computer, one more, say with same configuration in Azure infrastructure. So under that, we can create our own application or whatever the application we want to use. Or let's say example, I want to build my own website. To build our own website, I need some space where I can host that particular website. But to host that particular website, I need a space. So for that space, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create one more computer on Azure infrastructure. Azure infrastructure means on Azure servers. And with the help of that, we can do anything. I'm just giving an example of websites. But you want to build any software, you want to create anything, you can create anything in those particular servers. So it's a virtual server which we can't see that particular server, but we can access that particular server from any part of the location. And that particular server can be used for your application creation, for running any application, for websites. It can be used for multiple reasons. And which operating system supports in Azure? Here we have Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, CentOS, Debian, Oracle Linux. These are the few operating system supports in Azure. With the help of that, we can create our virtual machine. So to create virtual machine, we need to first log into my Azure account, which I have already done. Then go to virtual machine. Now here it is already showing me virtual machine, but might be in your account it is not showing you. So you can search here. Then just type VI here. Click on create Azure virtual machine. So what is the first thing we are getting here is subscription. After that, what we need to do it, we need to select a resource group. Do I have any resource group? No, I don't have any resource group. To create resource group, I can click on create new here, or other option is I can directly go to resource group service also. Here I'm. Now, what is resource group? If I talk about in a journal language, resource group is like a container, or I can call it's like a folder to us, where we are going to maintain all our resources. Resources means the virtual machine which I'm going to create, database I want to create a storage service, all the services whichever we are going to create. I can see all the services in one single location. That's we have it called a resource group. So it's a container that hold related resources for an Azure solution. So it means to create resources like virtual machine, database, virtual network, storage account, it is mandatory to have resource group. One thing is subscription, that's mandatory. Other than this is resource group. Because under our resource group, we are going to create all the resources, and we have one single place to see all our resources. So I don't need to go to virtual machine to see virtual machine. I don't need to go to database to check database. I can see from here also, from my resource group also, I can see those things. Now, resources can only exist in resource group. So it means without resource group, you can't create resources. It is mandatory. We can't rename our resource group. Once our resource group is ready, we can't rename. It's not possible. Groups can have resources of many different types. Different types means different services. Like I already told you, we can store database also. We can store our storage account, virtual network, virtual machine. These are different services we have. Or I want to create an IP address. Everything we can store in our resource group. So we can see those all the services from one single location. I don't need to go to different pages to see those particular services. Now, groups can have resources from many different regions also. Now, what are this? Let's take example resource group I have created in East US region, and the virtual machine which I'm going to create, I have created in Central India region. Is it possible? Can we do that? Yes, it is possible. It's not a good practice, but it is possible. So in the interview also might be they can ask you this particular question also. So can we create resources from different region in one single resource group? Yes, it is possible. But we are not doing this thing. Even in our organizations also, we are not doing it. But yes, it is possible. Now, so here I'm going to create a resource group. So click on create. And here we need to give the resource group name. Resource group name can be any name. Group hyphen, sorry, 30. And here I'm selecting the region. Which region I'm using? East US. You want to use any region, you can use any region. And what is region? We have discussed in previous session. Region is like a data center to us. So we have more than 40 data centers all over the world we have, which we are able to see here. Here I'm getting the list of all the data centers, wherever they have. By default, for my account, it is showing East US. So we have East US 2, Central US, Australia East, Southeast Asia, Canada Central, Central India. Here. So these all are data centers all over the world we have in this world from Azure to us. So whichever you want to use, you can use as per your nearest region. So whatever that region you are thinking that region is near to your as per your location, you can use. And the people are from India, they can use Central India. Yeah. Those people are from US, they have multiple East, South, Central, West. You can use anyone, whichever you want to use. So I have a default one, East US. I go with the East US. And here is the resource group name. Group name can be any name. It's not mandatory to be unique. You can give your name also there. Review plus create. Click on create. Done. You can see here, this is my resource group. This particular resource group I have created in this subscription and in the location East US. So I'm able to create a resource group. Now, under this resource group, we are going to create virtual machine. So go to virtual machine. And whenever we are doing anything in Azure, we are getting a notification also like this. You can see here, I got a notification, resource group created. If you're deleting anything, for that also we are getting a notification. Create Azure virtual machine. Now here I can select that existing resource group. Now we need to give the name of our virtual machine. Name can be any name. I'm giving the name as VM30. Now, the options which are marked as star, those are mandatory options. And even few of the mandatory options we are not going to discuss right now. Few of the mandatory options we are going to discuss in our upcoming session, because it is not possible for me to teach you everything. It is not possible for you guys to learn everything on one single session. So right now, I'm just going to discuss about some only the important options. Whatever the options are required, that we are going to discuss in our upcoming session. So here I've given the name of my virtual machine. Region, we have selected as East US. Now scroll down. Next thing we have to select is the image. The other option, whichever we are getting on the top, just leave as it is. Don't need to do anything here. We'll discuss options in our upcoming session. Now, we are selecting the image. Now, what is image? In our general language, we call it as operating system. But in Azure, we are not using that terminology. The terminology used in Azure is called as image. And here we are getting the view of the operating. If you want to see all the images, you can click on see all images. It will show you all the images whichever we have in the Azure. Now, which one I'm going to use? I'm going with the Windows one right now. Right now, I'm going to learn about Windows. In tomorrow's session, we are going to learn about how to create with the Linux one also. So here I'm selecting the Windows 2019. Done. I'm able to select the image. Now, so I'm able to select the image here. Next thing is I need to select some more data. Okay, I have a question. You can send your answer in the chat box for this particular question. Whenever a person is buying a computer, what are the basic things every person is going to check? Basic things, don't going much more depth of basic things. Okay, correct. RAM, CPU, hard disk, and operating system. These are the four things, a very basic thing every person is going to check. Basic thing. Operating system, we have already selected as Windows 1. Now I need to select CPU and RAM. So let's take example. My requirement is I need one CPU and so one CPU and 1 GB of the RAM. That's my basic requirement. Yes, I know that's a very less requirement, but just for starting, every organization is starting with the less CPU and RAM. Definitely not with this one, with some more CPU and RAM they are doing. So slowly, when their load get increased, we can increase CPU and RAM. And that's a regular activity we guys have to do in the organization. So how to increase CPU and RAM, definitely we'll learn in upcoming session, because that's a very important topic. And that's a regular activity we have in organizations. So here we are getting it sizes. By default, which size we are getting it is B1S. Here we are getting some more sizes, DS1 underscore V2, D4S underscore V3. We are getting some more sizes. So that is going to decide by the client and the developers how much CPU and RAM they need. Because we guys don't know that which application they are going to build. Developer knows it. So as per their requirement, we have to select the CPU and RAM. We have a lot of here. This is just showing you few we are getting here. This is CPU, this is RAM. So we got lot of CPU and RAM we are getting here. We have a bigger size ones also here. This. It's not showing all to me right now. We can, okay, we have a filter option. We can put a filter here. Shit, system meeting. We have a, oh, let me just open again. Here we have a filter. You can select as per a custom requirement. It will show you all the one, whichever you want to see. And as per your client requirement, we can select that CPU and RAM. And one important point. By default, in my system, it is showing me as B1S. Which one you can select so you will not get a bill even after 30 days. For first 30 days, you can use any one. There is no charges because you have that particular credit. But after 30 days, you have to make sure you are only going to select a size called B1S. Other than B1S, if you are going to select, you will get a bill for that. And even if you remember in previous session, the link I have given to you guys, which is already in my PPT is already uploaded. In that one, I have shown you we are getting the free tier details. In that one also, it is clearly mentioned we have to use a size called B1S. So if you're going to use size called B1S, you have 750 hours per month free for 12 months. So even after 30 days, you have to use this particular size. And whenever we are using the size called B1S, by default, we are getting it 4 GB of additional hard disk. This is not the main hard disk which we need to select for this machine. No, that one will select later. But 4 GB of the additional hard disk, we are getting it from Azure side based on the size we are selecting. So for every different size, we are getting some additional hard disk from their side. And where I get that information, here I have. Oh, sorry, it's now 2 GB. Sorry, not sorry, here is it, sorry. Here is it. This is not the one. This is data disk. We'll discuss about data disk later. So B1S, 4 GB of the storage. If I select B2S, 8 GB. If I select D2AZ underscore V4, 16 GB. And this is just a temporary storage we are getting it. In this particular one, we are not going to store any data. It is clearly mentioned from Azure side also. I'm going to show you that. Once our machine is ready, we will see it is clearly mentioned from Azure side to us. Don't store any data in this particular storage. If you store, might be you lose your data. And it's not possible to recover because there is no backup of this particular temporary storage. So We are selecting B1S. We got 1 CPU, 1 GB of RAM, and 4 GB of the additional hard disk. The main one we'll select in the next step. But before that, we have to give the username and password. To use the username, must be minimum 1 and 20 characters long username. And there are some reserved words they have used. We can't use those as a username. Like if I talk about admin, admin is the reserved word. So there are 5 to 6 words they have reserved, which are very common. We can't use those words for our username. I'm going to use a username as Azure user. Then we have to give the password. Here. So when we are giving the password, out of the following things, 3 things we have to follow. 1 lower, 1 upper, 1 number, 1 special character. So from these 4, 3 of the following things we have to follow. And password must be 12 minimum, maximum 123 characters long. So here I'm giving that. I'm able to give my username and password. By using this username and password, we can connect to this particular machine. Because just creation is now work is not going to complete. We have to connect to that machine. And without connecting, we can't work on those machines. So we have given our username and password. Next thing. We have given username and password, but is this sufficient? No. It is mandatory to enable a port number. Without port number, it is impossible to connect to that particular machine. So for every different type of operating system, like not different type, actually we don't have much different type. Windows, to connect the Windows, it is mandatory to enable a port number called RDP, remote desktop. We have to enable this particular port number. Without enabling of this port number, we can't connect to our Windows machine. RDP full form is Remote Desktop Protocol. Without that port number, we can't connect. It's mandatory. And anyone knows the port number for RDP? If anyone knows, you can please confirm in the chat box. A default port number for RDP is 3389. And that particular port number you can see here, by default, they are enabling. Why? Because we are selecting the image as Windows 1. So they have identified, we have selected a Windows image. And based on that, they are able to enable that particular port number. So our port number is by default enable, and it is mandatory to enable to connect to this Windows machine. If I'm not enabling this port number, we can't connect to this machine. So here we are able to select all the details, whichever is required right now. Resource group, name, region, image, size, username, password, and the port number. Now go to next. Next means disk we are selecting. OS disk, hard disk, normally we call it as hard disk, that we are selecting. And how much we are selecting? By default, they are giving us 127 GB. So we got 127 GB hard disk, which we are selecting. 4 GB additional we are getting it because of the size we have selected. And to create Windows machine, minimum size needs to be 127. You can't give less than 127 GB. And for Windows, 127 GB is free. If you are going to increase more than 127 GB, then it's chargeable. So what till 127 GB it is free. Then we have some more options also here. Regarding those options, I'm not going to discuss right now. So I'm directly click on Review Plus Create. Review Plus Create means they are going to validate our details. Whatever the details we have given, are those correct or not? You can see here they are validated. Validation pass. Sometimes what happens is by automatic, sometimes we are getting it validation failed also. So even you have given the correct details, then also we are getting, it happens sometimes in Azure. So what you can do it is, just go back to any of the tab and again click on Review Plus Create. So if happen with you when you're doing practice, do like this. Then validation passed. But yes, if you have given some invalid details or if you haven't select any details where it is mandatory, then every time it's going to validation failed. So here we are able to provide our all the details whichever we require. Then now click on create. You can see here I'm getting the notification. So now they start creating our virtual machine. And to create virtual machine, there are some other resources also required. Virtual network, NSG, public IP. So they are creating all the resources now. What is this virtual network? What is it NSG? We are going to discuss in our upcoming sessions. And now they start creating our virtual machine. And all these resources you will see in our resource group also. So once it is completed, we'll get a notification. Then we can go to our resource and we can see our resource also. Then I'm able to create. So click on go to resource. You can see here the operating system we have selected, the size which we have given here, status in which resource group we have selected, location, subscription details, virtual network and subnet. What is virtual network and subnet? We'll discuss later. Here I'm getting all the details. Here is the public IP of this machine. Here is the private IP of this machine. We are getting. If you want to see the hard disk size, we can go to disk option. There we are able to see. And here we have a network settings. Under network settings, we can see the port number which we have enabled, the RDP port number. That port. We are able to see all the details. Now, next thing. So is our machine ready? Yes, our machine is ready. Now, can I connect to this machine? Yes, we can connect. To connect to this particular machine, in our Windows machine, we have a software called Remote Desktop Connection. So just search RE here, Remote Desktop Connection. You can click here. I already have a shortcut in my Windows machine. I can directly open from there also. But might be in your machine you don't have. So you guys can search here RE. Here you are. Now here you need to enter your public IP. So here we have the public IP. So copy the public IP. Click on show options. Username. Click on connect. Click on connect. Enter the password which we have given while creating our machine. Yes. And in our upcoming session, we are going to learn about how to reset the password also. So if you forget the password or someone got your password, you have to reset the password. We have option we learn in upcoming session. How to reset the password. Done. I'm able to connect to that particular Windows machine. Now, you want to do anything on this Windows machine? We can do. Now, this is Windows machine and Windows machine will take time to load. So we'll have some quick questions. Then I'm going to show some more things in this virtual machine. We can see that 4 GB of the hard disk also. So any question anyone have now, you can please raise your hand. Okay, look like no one has any question. Okay, let me show you that. Still taking more time to load Windows machine. Guys, I don't know that you have a question or not. You have to raise your hand if you have a question. I'm stopping the chat because so you guys can't you stop the sending the chat box. Raise your hand for asking the questions. I'm stopping the chat. Any question, raise your hand. I can't answer all the questions in the chat box. I'm getting a lot of questions in the chat box. It's not possible for me to reply to each and every single person in chat box. Quite difficult for me, guys. So please raise your hand for your questions. Yes, Srinivas.
Hello?
Srinivas, yes.
Yeah, is it audible?
Yes, Srinivas.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is Srinivas working as an IT auditor. So actually, I'm looking for an opportunity and want to excel my skills in Microsoft Azure. So if this course is intended for it is used for this IT auditor perspective.
This is for Azure admin,
Yeah.
Srinivas.
Okay.
So if you are interested to learn Azure admin, this is the course we have.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, Pankaj, you can unmute.
Hi, Ankit. So how can we attach more storage to these virtual machines? Because
We'll learn in
obviously,
upcoming session.
okay.
That is
And
called
once
as
we delete,
data disk.
okay. And once we delete these virtual machines, so all the dependent resources that got created, that is virtual machines and subnets,
I'll show
energy,
you that
all
how
those.
to delete it. I'll show you that. Okay.
Sure.
Let me just show you this
Thank
thing. Then I'm going to show you how to delete also. Because that's important
Oh,
point.
okay.
Okay.
Sure. Thank
Yes, Safi, you can unmute. Safi, you can unmute, have raised your hand to ask your question. Okay. You can see here we are able to see the additional 4 GB of the storage. This is the one which we are getting. We have attached. This is our C drive. That one we have attached while creating our virtual machine. And here is the additional 4 GB. This is clearly mentioned temporary storage. And if I open this one, there's a notepad file we have in this. What is the name of that file? Data loss warning readme. See here. This is temporary disk. Any data stored in this disk is subject to loss and there is no way to recover it. So this is just a temporary storage we are getting it. Like whenever we are using any machine, system is generating cache, temporary storage, they are generating. So that's why they are giving some additional storage to us. And don't store any data in this temporary storage. Any question anyone have, you can please let me know. Then I'm going to start showing you how to delete these resources also. Yes, Pankaj.
In Azure, we have option like hibernate the instance. So do we have such options here? I don't see that options on top of the.
We don't have any
Uh,
options like that.
Okay, so that feature is not available with Azure, right?
No,
Oh, thank
thank
you.
you. Okay. Look, guys, no one has any more question. So now I can start showing you the how to delete this particular resources. Now, one thing is to, okay, first of all, let me go to resource group. Let me show the resource group. This is a resource group we have created. And this is a resource group which system is automatically generating with the name called Network Watcher RG. What is this Network Watcher? Network Watcher is a separate service we have in Azure. This is monitoring the virtual network. Regarding this virtual network, we'll discuss in our upcoming session. And here is our resource group called Group 301. You can see here, we have just created virtual machine, but how many resources we are able to see here? Total 6 resources. Because these all are dependent resources which is required to create this particular virtual machine. So the dependent resources system is automatically creating whenever we are creating our virtual machines. This is what I've told you. We can store a different type of services in one single resource group. You can see these all are different type. Same one also we can store, a different one also we can store here. Now, once we complete our practice, we have to delete all the 6 resources. One option is you can go to that particular service and delete. This is one option. But in this option, you have to do it one by one. That is a long process for our practice purpose. The other way is we have a delete resource group also. So it means if I delete this resource group, under the resource group, whatever the resources we have, system will delete all the resources. So delete resource group. Enter our resource group name. and click on delete. But one important point here. Now here it starts showing us deleting. Make sure till that time you're not getting a proper notification like this. Don't close your browser. If you close your browser here, it will stop here. You are thinking that you have given the command to delete the resource group, but if you close the browser, it will stop here and they are not deleting your resources. Your sources will be there as it is. So till that time, you're not getting a proper notification deleted. Don't close your browser. And the other one, resource group which system is creating automatically, that one also we are deleting. But I'm not going to discuss about what is network watcher. That network watcher service we are going to discuss in our upcoming session. So now we are deleting both the resource group. So once I got the notification deleted, then I can close the browser or I can shut down my laptop. Till that time, I'm not going to do that. So this is how you can create your Windows virtual machine and you can delete also. And we have already shown you how to connect also. So this is about from my side for the today's session. In tomorrow's session, we are going to learn about the Linux machine. So how to create a Linux machine and how to connect to our Linux machine. Any question anyone have, you can still raise your hand. Yes, Safi. Safi, you can unmute and ask your question. You are on mute. Yes, Chaitanya, you can unmute.
Hi Ankit.
Hi.
Ankit, while creating Azure account, in Azure account, it asking for credit card details, right? So
You can,
ca-
sorry to interrupt, you can give credit card or debit card, anyone you can give.
so the card holder name which are given that those bank address only we have to give, or also our address we can give it the address bar.
In address, you have to give the same address which is mentioned in your card. Like, right, let's example, your earlier your address was different, now your address is different. But in your bank account, you have an old address. Whatever is mentioned in your bank, you have to give that.
I mean the holder which is using the credit card, that holder address only we have to give it in the bank,
Yes,
which is
Chaitanya.
oh
Yes.
okay.
The card address. The card
Yes,
related
Ankit.
to whichever the bank account, that bank account address you have to give there.
Okay, Ankit. Okay, thank you.
Yes, Shazad.
Hi Ankit, I had one
Hi.
doubt. Actually, I'm working for a company with a bond of 2 years, and
Okay.
I wanted to learn Azure. And right now, the domain which I am in is a bit different. It is application specialist. So, since I'll be working in Azure after 2 years, will it be feasible to learn Azure right now and do the certification? Because the certification is just applicable for 2 years, right?
3 years.
3 years, okay. So doing the course right now, would it be good for me for my career, or like I can simply just do the course and do the certification after 1 year or so?
It's up to you. Whatever you think about your career, based on that, you have to take decision. More than only like earlier saying that you earlier in previous session was someone asking, just check with your HR. After if you have it, you can change the project in an organization. You have a contract with organization in the same company, not related to the project you have, that you have to work on that project.
In case that is the case, if I can do the course and if I do the certification later, will that be fine?
Yes, certifications are not mandatory. You guys are thinking that certification is mandatory. No, certifications are not mandatory. Certification will not provide you a job. Just certification, you will get a call. That's all. In the end, you have to clear your interview with your knowledge.
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
Okay, thank
certification is just like a piece of paper. Seriously saying, as per my personal experience, I'm telling it. For me, certification is wastage of money and time. But clients, some are very strict. Some clients that we not a person with certification, so we have to do it. Otherwise, there is no requirement to do certification.
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
Ankit.
Thank you. Anyone have any more question? Okay. So thanks. No one has any more questions. So with this, I'm going to end this session here. In tomorrow's session, we are going to learn about how to create a Linux virtual machine. Thank you all. Thank you for joining today's session. See you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Thank you.